Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Thursday morning to you all. I hope you guys are staying safe, staying warm out there. This Arctic blast is on the move as I speak. It's dipping down into the south central U.S. and starting to spread more southeast to eastward. We're going to give you an update. We're going to talk about what's kind of going on right now, but really focus in on the next 48 hours. So that is going to be our main focus. So from here on out, there's a lot of people on YouTube that go live during these events, which is awesome, especially during like tornado outbreaks and severe weather outbreaks. Definitely tune into those folks if you're worried or anything like that. There's a lot of great people on YouTube that do that. Ryan Hall obviously being the most known one. But we're going to do our part on this end at Midwest Weather and try to keep you guys updated over the next 24 to 48 hours ahead of the storm. So we're going to switch some things up in this video, kind of keep the same theme, but we're going to zoom in on some certain areas. Each state's, not every single state being impacted, but certain areas certainly we're going to kind of zoom in on. So this is a big deal, folks. A lot of people are like Buffalo now are under blizzard warnings, and really the story that hasn't been spoken on much is really the lake effect snows are really going to get kicked up after this Arctic front moves through and kind of the main precipitation moves through. But we're gonna get pretty detailed in this video and try to help you guys out and be ahead of the storm, because this could be dangerous, and just how dramatic it is. Conditions can change very, very quickly. That's why it's important to have radars, have things, just stay up to date. And that's what we've been doing over the system to try to keep you guys alert and aware. But if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider subscribing. Liking the video helps also. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, put those in the comments, please. That's the most important thing of all. We can all look out for one another and glorify God doing it. So if you see a cat or something behind my head, move it all. My cat, her name is Stormy. She loves me the most in the West household. My wife would not agree, but she certainly does, and she is extra loving and cuddly this morning. And, I just let her stay in the room. Normally I get all the animals out the room, close the door. But if you see anything move directly behind my head or see something, that's my gray cat. But let's get rolling. Watches and warnings, advisories. You got wind chill warnings galore, wind chill advisories. You got a bunch of wind alerts up here, high wind warnings, high wind watches, wind advisories, winter storm warnings in the pink, blizzard warnings in the red. Everybody, if you're basically in your area, if you have a blizzard warning, I think most of you folks would know it because a blizzard warning isn't super common or anything like that. But you see a lot of purple down here. That is actually hard freeze warnings. You don't see this very often, but it's just the fact that it's not just going to be below 32. It's going to be well below 32, which is certainly uncommon to rare for areas in the south. You got wind chill advisories as far south as north central Florida. So it's going to get serious even down for you folks. Not as far as winter weather, but you get the idea. Very cold temperatures. The iguanas will certainly be falling down in areas of Miami. Unfortunately, they will definitely have some headaches after taking that tumble. But winter weather advisories, you got a winter storm warning up going on right now. You got snow falling in the mountainous areas of the southern Appalachian Mountains and the mid-Atlantic. Just a lot going on. Blizzard warnings for Buffalo. And this is getting serious, folks. It really is. And everybody's so focused on the snowfall totals. You can look, I can read the comments and tell. And some people are disappointed. But remember, the story behind this, now at certain times maybe about 6-7 days ago it was once upon a time, but the story behind this really was never several inches of snow, feet of snow. It was a few inches to maybe as much as half a foot, but blizzard conditions and just dangerous, dramatically changing conditions with this. So we'll talk about the temperatures. We're not going to stay as long on this as we have been doing, but a little bit different of a vantage point. This is right now. This front is moving, not at a slow speed, very fast. So it's blasting through at a very quick pace, moving very fast. And in some cases, I saw a video in Denver yesterday evening before the sun went down. It actually kicked up what we call a haboob, basically a bunch of dust and sand and particles in the atmosphere to the point where you could physically see the front coming. It dropped from like the 40s to about 1 degree in like 1 hour. And the same thing with Amarillo. It dropped 30 degrees in 1 hour in Amarillo a few hours ago. This is moving through Oklahoma City and Tulsa, already has. It moved through Kansas City a couple hours ago. It's knocking on the door of St. Louis. By the time some of you folks view this, this will be potentially hundreds of miles past this. But this is right now. We'll give a little update and see what it looks like and see if there's any changes. And no update, but this is moving quickly. So if you're in Memphis, Nashville, Little Rock, Dallas is knocking on your doorstep probably in the next hour or two. Get ready. This is coming today. Other areas downstream in the eastern U.S. tonight into tomorrow. We'll talk about temperatures. We're going to focus in a lot on the HRRR model because it's actually verifying very well as far as temperatures and precipitation. I'm shocked. Sometimes the HRRR model can be kind of weird, but it's doing pretty well. No model is going to be perfect in real time, right? But this model is doing well. We'll start it off this morning. This is around 6 a.m. Central Time, which is here in about 25 minutes or so. And, you compare this to what you're seeing on this map right here. It's pretty close. It really is. It's about as close as you're going to ask for. This has already blasted through Kansas City, waking up to the single digits like we always thought it would be. Little Rock, St. Louis, waking up to normal temperatures right now, but in the next few hours, single digits will move in. I mean, very quickly. I'm seeing anywhere from 20 to 40 degree temperature drops with this front out here in the plains. I'm telling you, it's dramatic. Real-time observations proved that yesterday when Cheyenne, Wyoming dropped from 43 degrees, I believe, to 3 degrees in 1 hour. And I believe 20 of those degrees, or 25 degrees of those degrees were in 9 minutes. I mean, you feel that, right? I mean, you can feel it in real time. So, I mean, I know a lot of people, some people I'm sure are saying, okay, this is a little bit overhyped, overplayed. I'm sure a lot of people think that. But I'm telling you, when this hits, you're going to change your tune a little bit. Certainly are. But let's keep this rolling. And by the time we get into about lunchtime this afternoon, or today, the temperatures drop from the 40s to the 20s in Dallas. Flash freeze situation. Only reason you won't get really a flash freeze down here is because you really won't have a lot of moisture. But the further you work northeast, it will potentially be snowing in the single digits in areas of Oklahoma. We'll talk about that here in a second. But 40s around lunchtime in Little Rock. By the time you get into the evening hours, it's in the 20s to teens. And you stop it right here, and we'll flip it a little bit further east. I actually got to do this and see if we can slip it. Okay, yep, we stay at the same time frame. And, you drop from 44, 43 degrees in Memphis around 2 p.m., and then you're probably around the same thing around 3 p.m., and then 3 p.m. in Memphis, for example, this is going to be give or take an hour. The front's probably going to move a little slower or move faster. I would bet on it moving a little faster. At 3 p.m., 44 degrees in Memphis. At 5 p.m., it's in the 20s. I mean, that's very dramatic, right? 20-degree drop or more. It could be even more dramatic. At the same time, look at your rising into the 60s and 70s in eastern North Carolina for this afternoon. It's going to remain very chilly in Georgia and the Carolinas. It's been cold ahead of this front, especially here in the Carolinas. I mean, it has been wet and very dreary and just miserable. But the front's moving through. It blasts through Chicago sometime this afternoon. It's working through, it works through Kansas to St. Louis. The temperatures immediately drop into the single digits. By the time you're home and settling in, it's below zero potentially in St. Louis. Now, I question the HRRR model in the Ohio Valley. By the time we get into about midnight tonight, it's saying widespread -5 to 10 degrees in Illinois, well below freezing in Wisconsin, well below zero in certain areas. Iowa is completely froze up. The state of Missouri is all below zero. According to the HRRR model, about midnight tonight, this blast through Nashville, it's 1 degrees at midnight, according to the HRRR model tonight. And it won't, by the time we get into Friday morning, be a -8 degrees in Nashville. That might be a little bit too much. I think the forecast low is around the single digits, around 1 or 2 degrees. And the HRRR model has you about 10 degrees colder than this. But I will tell you, if you get any kind of snowpack, even if it's just an inch, that will help lower your temperatures even more. It says it's getting to 1 degrees in Huntsville, Alabama. It's probably, all this is probably a little bit lower than what you're actually forecasted from your local weather people. But I can tell you, as of right now, folks, and just because it's verifying well in the Midwest and the plains doesn't mean it's going to necessarily verify well in the eastern U.S. But I can tell you, it's pretty dramatic, folks. Atlanta will back it up a little bit. It's around maybe all the way up to the upper 40s at midnight. By the time you're waking up tomorrow morning in Atlanta, it could be in the teens. It's a 6-hour drop. I mean, that's 35 degrees. And by the time you get into highs tomorrow, I mean, look in Charlotte. Let's back it up. Charlotte, the wee hours of the morning, the front blast through. It might be 50 degrees in Columbia. By the time the actual sun comes up, it might 32 degrees. And then the temperature just drops throughout most of the day. It's 19 degrees at noontime, according to the HRRR model in Charlotte, all below zero in the middle of the day in the Ohio Valley. And I mean, look at the front blasting through the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. 19 degrees in Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia in the middle of the day. And these are afternoon high temperatures. This is around 3 p.m. on average, normally your warmest part of the day in the winter. 26 degrees in Columbia, only in the teens in Atlanta. Only at 32 degrees in Tallahassee, Florida. 16, 17 degrees in Birmingham. I think you could add maybe a couple more degrees to this. I just think this is a little too cold. I don't think the high temperature in Nashville is going to be 3 degrees tomorrow, but it's going to be wild to see how this verifies. Is the HRRR model too cold? It probably is a little too cold. But yeah, a lot of people are wondering, why is it so warm up here compared to down here? Well, the actual core of the air mass literally shoots more south. So, we take it all the way out to about the middle of the night, Friday night and Saturday. And, look how cold it is. This is just the middle of the night. It's only, 10 degrees in Atlanta, 16, 8 degrees in Charlotte. Man, I don't know if it's going to get that cold. But I can tell you, it's going to be rather cold. And I can tell you the HRRR model is verifying pretty decently. Look at wind chills. And this is right now. I don't know what the wind chill is right now in the Dakotas and Nebraska and Kansas. But even if you look at the ensemble runs, it's saying that this is how cold it is at times. Of course, the wind chill temperature isn't consistent. It is all dependent on how much air movement you got, how windy it is. But, I mean, right now you're probably experiencing anywhere from 30 to 40 degrees below zero wind chills and even more at times. We keep this rolling. Let's take it all the way to about the middle of the afternoon. It's saying your wind chill is around 0 degrees in Dallas, 10 below zero in Oklahoma City, Kansas City, 30 degrees below zero, St. Louis, 15 to 20 degrees below zero. This is the middle of the day wind chills. Looking for the Midwest and the northern plains. Absolutely ridiculous. And you continue to move here. And I'm actually going to exit out that. And we're going to look at the apparent temperatures. Here we go for the eastern U.S. This continues, right? And as we're getting into about the middle of the night tonight, about midnight, it's saying the wind chill in Nashville could be anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees below zero and maybe 20 degrees below zero in Memphis. I think this is a little too much. In fact, you look at the ensemble run for the same thing, and I mean, it's close. It's not, I'm sorry, this is in Celsius. This is in Celsius. It's way off. I think it's a little bit too cold, but I would be interested to see how close we verify to the HRRR model, especially with snowpack, because I don't think this accounts for snowpack. And just the winds whipping over this, but very cold temperatures for sure, as far as, and this is actually an air temperature. So we actually compare this with apparent temperatures in Fahrenheit. And I mean, it's about the same. We'll back it up one run. And let's back it up to the middle of the night. It's still saying negative 15 degrees on the GFS for Memphis. If you compare that with the HRRR model for the same time frame, negative 15 degrees. What does the HRRR model say? I mean, it's negative 22, 7 degrees off, a little bit different, but not terribly far off. But by the time we get into Friday morning, and let's just go on and take it all the way to Friday about midday. Look at these wind chills off the HRRR model. Widespread negative 20, widespread 20 to 30 degrees below zero. I mean, a wind chill at around lunchtime in Huntsville of 10 below zero. I just think this is a little too cold. But, I mean, like I said, I know I keep saying this. I'm going to be very interested to see how this verifies, because you're verifying in the central U.S. right now. How sharp the gradient is with this cold front is verifying. So far, of course, the HRRR model is probably 1 or 2 degrees too cold, but I mean, you get the point here. As far as winds with this, here it comes. The front's blasting through. You can actually see where the front is. This is around 9 a.m. Central Time out here. So the front moves through Chicago at probably around 3 p.m. Winds probably gust to 20, 30, maybe as much as 40 miles per hour. Look at the front down here. Winds are gusting in Dallas behind the front to 30, 40, maybe as much as 50 miles per hour. Maybe the higher mountaintops of the Ozarks, maybe up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. This blast through Memphis around the middle of the afternoon tonight or today. And winds immediately shift from the south to the west in general, west northwest, and winds behind it 40 as much as 40 miles per hour. This continues blasting through the Ohio Valley tonight. It's already breezy, probably ahead of the front, but as soon as you get behind it and along it, dynamic weather already occurring, right? Winds gusting to 30 to 40 as much as 50 miles per hour, and we take it all the way to Friday morning. The front blasted the Carolinas. It looks particularly very windy in the Carolinas. If you look down here at the bottom of your screen, this is, the wee hours of the morning, probably about 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Winds in Columbia gusting to 50 to around 50, maybe higher miles per hour, gusting. And look at the mountaintops of the Appalachian Mountains. I mean, it is unloading, very strong winds. You keep this going all the way through this takes us out to the middle of the afternoon Friday. The 8RRR model saying all the way from Minneapolis all the way to Buffalo, widespread 40 to as much as 70 mile per hour winds. Now, I think Buffalo, you could max out at 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. Blizzard conditions. First off, you get the snow with a system that's going to move through, and then you get the lake effect snow, and then just the winds are going insane off Lake Erie and Ontario, even Lake Michigan, all the Great Lakes. And I think the worst conditions in the Ohio Valley will certainly be probably as we get as far as winds. You're going to have a lot of snow blowing around probably tomorrow. The winds will be insane. Power outages will be going on. Even if it's not snowing, the winds will be going wild for tomorrow. And so just you got to be safe. Power outages are going to happen, and we hope that they don't. But this is when the dangerous part of it comes in. These power outages are going to happen, and as soon as they happen, remember, it's around 0 degrees on average out here, and the wind chills are even colder. So, your house is gonna get very cold. So just try to have a secondary way to get heat. Have a plan ahead. You still got several more hours. The winds in southern New England, it hasn't been talked about much, but sometime this evening into the overnight hours, you could get 40 to 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. These higher mountaintops in Vermont, New Hampshire, and New York State. So you're probably going to push hurricane force winds into tomorrow morning. And this will continue into Maine, the coastal regions of Maine. It's going to be like a tropical storm is hitting the coast of Maine. The winds are going to be crazy. And this is not even really associated with the front, just a system that's flying up and hitting the northeast. And just this isn't even the front. The front's going to move through, and the winds are probably going to blast through. And there'll be like a secondary section of winds that move through. And this will be dangerous. This will cause power outages ahead of the front today, and really tonight. So, and then the Arctic air mass moves in. Nobody has a way to get heat. This is, it's considered a blessing if you got generators, and just look out for your neighbors in this kind of setup. Okay, a lot of people are so focused on the snowfall amounts, which is what we're about to talk about. But what you don't realize is the winds with this is going to knock out your power. And then potentially, and when it knocks out your power, you have no way to get a heat source. So remember that and just have a plan. Right now, we'll go through the 8RRR model, and we're going to zoom in on areas as far as snowfall accumulations and things like that. Here comes the snow. I believe it's moving through areas of Kansas City right now. It's developing, and here it is, the radar out of Kansas. Well, this is actually out of Wichita. Snow is beginning to develop. And remember, this might not be extremely heavy snow, but it is snowing in the single digits to near 0 in these areas. So it's blowing around, it's accumulating on everything. You probably got a 20 to 31 snowfall ratio. So it's rapidly accumulating is what I'm trying to say. So not a ton of moisture with this. But as we're moving forward here, we're getting into the Ohio Valley. The moisture begins to move here. But, I'll stop it right here. This is for around 9 a.m. And let me get this back in motion a little bit. I had to stop the video really briefly. My little girl had to get something out of the room. But, I back it up 2 hours. And the 8RRR models, let me know. That's the thing, man, is let me know what you're seeing out there. I would love to know, I would love to know what's going on in Oklahoma, Missouri, even eastern Kansas, Iowa, Illinois, throughout the day. I'm not going to be able to acknowledge your comments and probably till this afternoon because I got a full day of work ahead of me, and then I got to get a root canal done this afternoon, this evening. But let me know what you're seeing, and then I'll certainly look over it a little bit later. But I'll be interested to see how much snow areas of Oklahoma can get today, especially. And I certainly will be interested to see how this verifies, because one thing, Missouri is going to be kind of the test state. If this overachieves in Missouri, I feel like this could overachieve snowfall-wise for the Ohio Valley. So to keep this going here in time, and it's snowing at this point pretty good here in the next couple hours. This is the next couple hours. The snow moves into St. Louis probably sometime around late morning to this afternoon, and it's snowing for a few hours to several hours, not very heavily, but it's still snowing. And remember, bitterly cold temperatures behind this, so it's rapidly accumulating, and it's probably going to be one of those snows where it's so cold that it accumulates on the roads before it does the grass. That's kind of the weird thing about these setups. A lot of times when it's really cold, the snow actually accumulates on the road before it does the grass. But this is blasting through here. You know, it's snowing in the Ozarks of Arkansas. It has a brief switch from rain to snow as far south as Little Rock. That's why you have winter weather advisories. We'll stop it right here. This is around 2 p.m. Central Time. Heavy blast of snow moving through Chicago. It's snowing in a pretty good clip. I know a lot of people in Chicago were hoping for that 8 to 12 inch snowfall for you winter weather fans. But just remember that this could overachieve. It really could. I'm telling you, you know, and I'm going to show you the snows, but they're a 10 to 1 ratio. But remember, it's going to be snowing at a much higher ratio than 10 to 1. But this line of this is almost going to, I really think along this line you could get thunder snow. This is going to be like almost, I wouldn't say it everywhere it's going to be a line of storms, but this is going to blast through, and I'll stop it right here. And look at Indiana, cut in half. One part of the state is probably in the 30s and 40s and raining. Right in the middle, the front's moving through. Indianapolis is switching from moderate to heavy rain to a blast of heavy snow with those brief whiteout conditions that we call blizzard conditions. And, I mean, same thing as far south as western Tennessee. There is going to be brief blizzard conditions, I think, in western Tennessee. You know, for example, Memphis, the front moves through this afternoon. You quickly, if you start out as rain, you quickly switch to a heavy blast of snow. I would love to know what you see in Memphis. And then immediately switch to a period, probably 1 to maybe 3 hours of snow. And listen, 1 hour of snow and snowing in the temperatures in the teens, the single digits, you could get a quick couple inches of snow. It could overachieve. It's snowing as far south as northern Mississippi. This line continues to move through. Nashville, you know, later this evening. I wish I could just spit out every single geographical state to try to not leave anybody behind. But you see how this is evolving, right? You can obviously tell the Arctic front is right here, and it immediately snows behind it. And behind this Arctic front is insanely cold temperatures. They drop dramatically, 20 to 30 degrees in an hour. So you go from rain to snowing in teens to maybe single digits, according to some of these models. I mean, look, Lexington, Kentucky, Cincinnati, you go from rain to a period of probably as much as 2 to 5 hours of snow. Same thing with, you know, Nashville, you know, a period of snow. And, you know, it shows it's snowing as far south as Huntsville, Alabama. Birmingham, who knows? You could get some backside flakes. I think it's possible. I think it's possible in Atlanta, too. But you're getting into the middle of the night. This is working its way through the rest of Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, snowing pretty heavy at very bitterly cold temperatures. You're starting to get lake-enhanced snow up here in the Michigan area, Wisconsin, and the UP of Michigan. It's already popping off the eastern sides of Lake Michigan into western Michigan. You know, immediately when this Arctic front crosses over these Great Lakes, lake effect snow begins immediately. Because, I mean, compared to air temperature, compared to the lakes, compared to this air moving over it, is about a 50 to 60, almost 70 degree difference. But I mean, look at this. You know, a lot of people in Ohio wondering, and in eastern Kentucky, there's this weird dry slot that a lot of people are forecasting. I don't know if I believe that. Because if you stop it right here at around midnight tonight, I mean, it doesn't show a lot of snow. But for example, in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, Cleveland, this switches from heavy rain to very heavy snow. And even if it snows for 2 to 3 hours, it is going to unload snow, and it's going to be like blizzard whiteout conditions. Even my folks in the southern Appalachian Mountains, as far south as North Georgia, Gatlinburg, Knoxville, Boone, I think you could get a brief 1 to as much as 3 hour period of snow, and it could be heavy at times. Same thing with Western Virginia. You know, it's weird. You're in areas of West Virginia and eastern West Virginia. It's snowing and freezing rain right now. You'll warm up briefly today. By the time you get into the night, Arctic front moves through, rain moves in, and behind it immediately a brief burst of moderate to heavy snow. Just a incredibly dynamic storm. So I'll back it up here, and I want to show you something. So we'll look at, this is a 10, let's back it up right here. This is around 8 p.m. tonight, right? We'll look at this, right? Look at the temperatures. We'll go all the way to about the same time frame. We'll stop it right here, right? Okay, and we'll look at this. Notice, we'll back it right here, same time from 8 p.m. tonight, give or take some hours. This is what the HRRR model show. And like I said, we need to know what real-time observations are showing. I'll be interested to know what the temperatures actually are in Iowa, Illinois, and Missouri around 8 p.m. tonight. I will be watching real-time observations like a hawk. The entire state of Ohio just about in the 40s. But Illinois, single digits to teens, where the fronts has already moved through. You even got sub-zero temperatures creeping in. You look at the precipitation, right? It's raining in most of western Ohio. The entire state of Illinois is in snow. But look at the temperatures that it is snowing in. I'm sorry, not Illinois, Indiana. The entire state of Indiana, it's snowing. Look at the temperatures it's snowing in. Single digits. So even though you look at this and you're like, okay, I get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I would say on average, a 6 to 7 hour period of snow in Indiana. It's not, to me, I mean, here in Columbia, that's awesome. That's an awesome period of snow. But 6 to 7 hours of moderate to at times heavy snow in single digit temperatures, I just think that I think that you're going to get more snow than what some of these models are showing. That's just my gut. I could be totally wrong, guys. But on average throughout the Ohio Valley, your forecast is anywhere from 2 to as much as 6 inches of snow. So you keep rolling, and I'll take a look at the Northeast here. This is what could happen throughout the morning hours. Heavy burst of snow. This will be wet snow. There's nothing Arctic about this. You're dealing with marginal temperatures, but you could get a burst of several inches of snow possible. Binghamton, there's going to be a period sometime after lunchtime today where it's snowing like crazy. Same thing for the higher elevations of Vermont, New Hampshire. Strong winds moving into this area this evening. Heavy wind-driven rain from New York City to Boston. Miserable. Not dreaming of a white Christmas here, unfortunately. Heavy snow up here, but immediately, here comes the Arctic front. So in these same areas, you get several inches of snow sometime throughout the morning and afternoon hours in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Western Maryland, Northern Virginia. You immediately warm up. The snow starts probably melting a little bit. You start hearing the dripping. And immediately behind it, the Arctic front blasts through. Not much snow with it. Pittsburgh, you might get heavy rain to immediately a flip to heavy snow, moderate to heavy snow for about 1 to 3 hours. This blasts through. And, maybe a change over the snow sometime tomorrow morning, very briefly in Washington, D.C. But remember, the cold air is trailing this very quickly. And then look at the ocean effect snow firing off areas of the Bay regions of Maryland and the Delmarva area. I think this is possible. You're going to have lake effect snow, ocean effect snow in some of these areas in the mid-Atlantic, even the southeast, I think is possible. And, you can get a few inches of snow off this in Delaware. It's kind of a sneaky little thing. But you got to watch. As far as snowfall, guys, this is the HRRR model's forecast as of right now, the long range. And I love the forecast. I think it's great. I think you could add a couple inches to it. This is just now between the next 48 hours. Shows 1.5 feet totals on the eastern shores of Lake Michigan for your western counties and western areas of Michigan, UP and Michigan. Widespread foot snowfall totals. Wisconsin, widespread 1/2 foot snowfall totals. Basically, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana to Ohio. Widespread anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of snow showing up. 1 to 2 inches maybe for southern Missouri. And then, it gets kind of tricky when you get in Arkansas. I would love to know real-time observations in Arkansas also. My folks down in Tennessee, we'll get a little bit closer look at this. But anyways, I'm about to break down each kind of individual area. Not every single one area, but you get the point. The HRRR model shows a nice event. Yes, you're not getting your widespread foot snowfall totals that I think most associate a blizzard with. But remember, the criteria isn't a blizzard. It really isn't snowfall amounts. It's winds pushing 35 miles per hour or higher in a sustained period of 3 hours or higher. Let's talk about Missouri. This is your total snowfall from the HRRR model, the latest one. And remember, this is calculated probably a 10-to-1 ratio. So I think you could potentially add another inch or two to this, depending on how it unfolds. But Kansas City, starting to snow in your area right now. 3 to 4 inches of snow possible. Same thing for St. Louis. Columbia, Missouri, maybe a jackpot area of 5 to 6 inches of snow. You move a little further north, a little bit zoned in area into the Ohio Valley, Illinois, Indiana into Ohio, southern Michigan, more snow. But look at Kentucky. Widespread 3, 4, maybe as much as 5 inches of snow. We'll have to see how this unfolds here for sure. Trying to hear what that noise was, but apparently it is absolutely pouring at my house. It kind of threw me off. I thought something was wrong with my house, but sorry guys. But look at this. I mean, I know you're saying, man, that's not a lot of snow, Mitch, but I'm telling you, this could overachieve because it's going to be snowing at such high rates. I might be wrong. I could be. I'm not afraid to admit that. And just know that it's going to be snowing at very cold temperatures. A little bit far north, it's going to be a snow globe. You're going to get hammered. It's going to look like a Christmas movie off the Hallmark Channel up here. It really is. If I lived up here, I would be enjoying every bit of it. I know it's a different world. People consider things a lot more differently up here as far as snow. But listen, this is going to feel like straight Christmas up here, snow globe. Figure out where you are, look at the number, and this is what the HRRR model is showing. A little bit further south, from folks in Tennessee, Memphis, to Nashville, I know I got a lot of people to view from the southern region. This is how much snow the HRRR model is showing. And look at, you see this little extension south right here? That is the plateau of Tennessee, and a lot of times, unfortunately, the valleys. And I feel like the HRRR model, unfortunately, picks up on it very well about how these areas, and I would not want to live in Chattanooga. I tell you that. Them folks in Chattanooga, I mean, unless you take out the 93 blizzard, I believe, where they got tons of snow, this is just an area, there's a microclimate in this area where you guys get gypped when it comes to snow. I saw it last year with my own two eyes. I read people complaining about it in the comments, and like I said, I saw it with my own eyes, and it seems like the plateau to your west and the mountains to your east certainly hog all the snow, but we'll see what happens. It's saying nothing from the HRRR model, but it's sometimes it overachieves. It does. But showing 1 to 2 inches in Nashville, maybe as much as a half an inch for Memphis, could be more. And then you look at the National Weather Service over the next 48 hours. 48 hours shows widespread 1 inch to dusting to maybe 2 inch totals, especially when you get in probably western Tennessee. But it's still, these folks and the experts, they're the experts. In eastern Kentucky and southern areas of Ohio and West Virginia just don't like the idea of snow in this area. But man, it is hard to believe. It's just what I'm thinking. I don't think that you guys are just going to get a half an inch of snow in this area. But they are the experts. I will say that. They are the experts. They might see something that I can't see. I'm not all knowing. I'm not perfect. But they're just not showing a lot of love to this area of the country. I tell you that. But it's weather. We're not here to show love. We're here to try to give you a forecast, right? So, I'd tell you for the Ohio Valley, the HRRR model and National Weather Service is in pretty good agreement, really. But we'll see how this goes, guys. Please let me know what you're seeing out there in the comments. I would love to get real-time observations and updates. But that's all I got, guys. Stay safe. I mean, this is ongoing. It's beginning right now. And for you folks that don't think this is the real deal, I think you're in for a surprise. But definitely just expect the worst. And if it ain't the worst, don't complain. Be grateful. Be happy. But this is coming, guys. So please be prepared. God bless all y'all. Stay safe. Praying for all you folks who are going to be impacted the worst with this. And I'll tell it to you tonight. God bless.